Do Jewish people need Yeshua, or is Jesus just for Gentiles? Can the people of Israel be saved by following Jewish law instead? The answers to these questions are extremely important for anyone who cares about Jewish people. The people of Israel have been harassed and abused by Christians, wanting to convert them for centuries, sometimes violently, and it is time that we respected the Jewish people for who they are, acknowledging their freedom to be Jewish. But what happens to Jewish people when they die if they don't accept Yeshua as the Messiah? The Bible is very clear that there is only one way to be saved. The law was preparation for the coming of Messiah Yeshua. He was the ultimate sacrifice, and has paid for the sins of the Jewish people too. He is the only true fulfillment of the law, and he is the one that it all points towards. Paul says in Galatians 3:24, "The law was our guardian until the Messiah came, that we might be justified by faith." Other versions say that the law was our tutor. The Greek word is pedagogos, which was a person who had the job of escorting young boys to school and to make sure they didn't go astray, as a guardian or escort. The role of the law was to escort the Jewish people to justification in the Messiah, who is the only way they can be saved. In John 14:6, when one of Yeshua's Jewish disciples asked him, "Lord, how can we know the way?" Yeshua said, "I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me." No one. All of us have sinned. All of us need a Messiah to pay for our sin. In Romans 1:16, Paul says, "For I am not ashamed of the gospel, for it is the power of God to salvation for everyone who believes, for the Jew first and also for the Greek." In Romans 10, Paul emphasizes that when it comes to salvation, there is no distinction between Jew and Greek, and whoever calls on the name of the Lord shall be saved. Everything that Yeshua taught was spoken to his own people, the Jews, and it was only later that Gentiles were invited to hear and believe what he said. We need to give serious consideration to all of his statements on faith and salvation, judgment and punishment, because he was first and foremost talking to Jewish people when he said these things. There are many different ideas about life after death in Judaism. Some believe that the righteous go to the Garden of Eden and the wicked simply cease to exist. Some believe in eternal damnation, and others believe in reincarnation. Many believe that there are 11 months of punishment before going to the world to come. But regardless of what people believe, the only thing that really matters is what God says. For that, we must turn to the Bible. According to Hebrews 9:27, we will all die only once and be judged. Daniel 12:2 tells us that multitudes who speak in the dust of the earth will awake, some to everlasting life, others to shame and everlasting contempt. The Bible clearly says that we all sin and all are deserving of judgment. No one can fulfill the law completely. Just as God judged the world and the Jewish people in the past, he will judge them in the future for breaking his laws and commandments. Leviticus 17:11 says that it is the sacrificial blood that makes atonement for the soul. God has never changed his word, and there is no verse in the Hebrew Bible to indicate that prayer, fasting, and tzedakah, acts of charity, are enough to make atonement for a Jewish soul, or any soul for that matter. Only the blood of Yeshua, God's sacrificial lamb, has the power to atone for sin. Paul's heart yearns for the salvation of his people, as he says in Romans 10, "Brethren, my heart's desire and prayer to God for Israel is that they may be saved. For I bear them witness that they have a zeal for God, but not according to knowledge. For they, being ignorant of God's righteousness and seeking to establish their own righteousness, have not submitted to the righteousness of God. For Yeshua is the end of the law for righteousness to everyone who believes." If we mislead ourselves into thinking that Jewish people can be eternally saved under the Mosaic covenant by keeping the law, we may prevent them from hearing the truth that they can only be forgiven and set free from judgment through faith in Messiah Yeshua, who alone has paid the full price for their sin and the sin of the world.